When you're forced to take a step back from society, you get a rare opportunity to analyze it from the outside, and it quickly becomes apparent that the way we live our lives on this planet is mostly absurd. This is because in our eternal battle between good and evil, society predominantly nurtures the evil, often without even realizing it. But we're capable of so much more. We have invented amazing technologies, eradicated diseases, learned to predict natural disasters, and yet our global ship is still slowly sinking despite all our accomplishments. The following are 10 absurd, interlinked components of our society, all of which require urgent change if humanity is to make the evolutionary step forward, or even just survive. Let's start by taking a look at how our life on this planet begins. We come into the world in sterile, impersonal, tense environments, and we're weighed, measured, and often pricked with a needle before we even touch our mother, who has created us, but who has virtually no say in how she meets us for the first time. We then spend most of our childhood, the most carefree time we will ever have, learning information, most of which we will never use or even access. And now we do this mostly in front of a screen. Yet fundamental things we do need to know, like how to live on this planet sustainably and ensure that our world is habitable for our descendants, that's usually skipped and we're not even taught to care. We then make higher education so expensive that not many of us can afford to become people like top scientists, whom we then mock, claiming they're fear-mongering or lying to us about what they learned about our planet. All because we're more concerned with acquiring wealth, which is mostly nothing but a bunch of numbers on a computer screen these days. Which brings us to the next point. So why are these numbers so important? Because the bottom line dictates our possibilities, our status, our lives. With those numbers, we're encouraged to consume as much stuff as we can afford, most of which basically ends up as waste somewhere we don't care to know. To get this wealth, or the bunch of numbers on the computer screen, most of the aforementioned education prepares us for occupations, not passions. And while a functional society requires people's passions, in our society, people have mostly occupations. Our energy is misdirected, our true callings go to waste, while a lot of our time is spent occupying ourselves. And those lucky few that actually manage to follow their passion and make money from it are considered an accomplishment instead of the norm. So we waste our health and the most robust years of our lives pursuing a life that isn't really ours, and then we end up with health problems because betraying ourselves daily takes a toll. This costs us time and stress and almost always money. We have cured a lot of diseases, but it's more profitable to keep people sick in our society in order to increase those numbers on a computer screen. We divide ourselves into a multitude of camps, and we identify with certain groups at the expense of all others. Although the other camps are pretty much exactly the same as us, genetically anyway. During our education, we're taught more competition than cooperation, so even within our own camps, we constantly compete with each other for everything. Competition can eventually lead to conflict. We have murdered, slaughtered, and destroyed those in other camps, either because we simply disagreed with what they believed in, or because we wanted more wealth for ourselves, even though we already had more than enough. But we're not born this way because you don't see babies hating each other. We teach children to hate. We supposedly choose to follow the best and brightest of us. We trust them to lead us and make important decisions because apparently they know how to make society function better. And this is what we get. Instead of embracing our spiritual side and working on exploring our higher selves together, we fight over what to label them, we kill each other over our interpretation of them, and we always compete over who's got it right. We choose what we ingest based on how many numbers on that computer screen we have, and how quickly and easily we can get it. We prefer to allocate those numbers for instant gratification over longevity. And at the center of our diets are animals, live, sentient beings whom we feed much more than we would need to feed another starving group of us, which typically lives in the developing world where those animals are raised. While in the developed world, we gluttonously consume those same sentient beings at a rate that's destroying the planet, even though we could easily eat way less animals with just a few simple dietary changes. Of course, these are all generalizations, but come on, humanity! We're capable of so many great things, and this is the pinnacle of our evolution. If we all have a battle of good and evil inside, why does our entire system revolve around feeding the evil? We need to start embracing humanity's good points like compassion, empathy, and kindness instead of putting them behind competition, persistence, and ambition. We need to start being driven by love and harmony instead of greed and economic growth, the numbers on a computer screen. Remember, we all have two forces living inside us, a vicious one and a benevolent one, and they're often conflicted. Which force wins? The one you feed.